virtually unplayable, whereas on the Ryzen side, it was buttery smooth all the way through. And they ended up calculating that the 7700K system only delivered 82% of the total frames for that stream, as opposed to 100% with the Ryzen setup. So that's pretty impressive as well. The next SKU on the lineup is the R7 1700X. And this has a base clock of 3.4, turbos to 3.8 with a 95 watt TDP, so a little bit higher now and probably a little bit more demanding in the thermal department. I completely forgot to tell you the price of the R7 1700. Let me rewind. The price of the R7 1700 is $329 US, which undercuts the 7700K by about $20 MSRP, depending on where you're shopping, but that's very impressive considering the benchmarks that we've seen so far. Now back to the 1700X, they tested this against the $1,000 6900K, which was 9% slower in Cinebench multi-threaded. The 1700X was 39% faster than the 6800K, which is a $500 CPU in Cinebench multi-threaded as well. And this processor will come in at just $400, which again undercuts the Intel equivalent to the 6800K. And finally, the processor that many of you have been raving and ranting about for a long time now is the 1800X, which is of course AMD's flagship Ryzen CPU with 8 cores, 16 threads. It's an absolute monster. A base clock of 3.6, turboing to 4 GHz. It ties the 6900K in Cinebench single-threaded applications, and they actually did a multi-threaded application in the same program and found a 9% boost in score with the 1800X over the 6900K. And the final demo they showed off was a comparison between an R7 1800X and again the 6900K in Sniper Elite, where the system was basically rocking two RX 480s in Crossfire. And they essentially showed, again, a side-by-side comparison on the screen. All we saw was the little frame rate counter. It wasn't an A to B comparison in terms of the gameplay and what was being displayed, so it was hard to kind of gauge a one-to-one comparison. But they both seemed very comparable. But for the most part, it seemed like they were still in the same 70 to 80 FPS range at 4K, which is pretty good. So you can definitely get a premium gaming experience with something like the 1800X. Now, that is going to be coming in at $500 MSRP. That's less than half the price of a 6900K and beats the crap out of it in certain applications. I shouldn't say beats the crap out of it. It's probably not a landslide, but still, it's a landslide victory when you consider price to performance, no doubt. So it'll be interesting to see how Intel responds in their own way, with perhaps some price cuts in the near future. The of R7 processors from AMD is going to be launching March 2nd, but you can pre-order them right now at the time of seeing this video. That means pre-orders should be open today from up to 185 different retailers and boutique OEMs around the globe. So very exciting stuff here. The last thing I wanted to mention is AMD did confirm that there's going to be 6 or 7 dozen AM4 motherboards that are going to be available at launch, so you'll have plenty of options to choose from, and you can get building your AM4 platform computer as soon as the launch comes around. But that's pretty much all the information I have for you guys. I know this was a very simple, basic, straightforward video, so hopefully that's all right. But thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll be sure to keep a close eye on Ryzen as it comes. So stay tuned for more tech stuff coming at you really soon, guys. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. I gotta get the hell out of here and continue on with the rest of the festivities at this event. But thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Peace.
Another night. How wonderful for you.
Now that's my jam. Raising the volume.
Following months of non-stop leaks and speculation around AMD's Ryzen chips, we finally have some official notes on the base specs, core clock, things like that, and the pricing for the Ryzen lineup. We also have, critically, some of the names officially this time, and that starts with the Ryzen R7 series of chips. Of course, we would expect more would come later, but for today, all we have officially is information on the R7 chip. So the three main ones are the R7 1700, and this is low end to high end, 1700, the 1700X, and the 1800X, all R7s, and the prices for those in order: $330 for the R7 1700, $400 for the 1700X, and $500 for the 1800X. Before getting to the core specifications for the rest of the products, this coverage is brought to you by our Patreon backers at patreon.com/gamersnexus. If you want to help fund more on-site coverage like this. For each of these chips, we're looking at the Ryzen R7 1700 at 3.0 gigahertz for its base and 3.7 for boost. There's also XFR for these products, of course, but we don't have full specifications on that just yet. Let's go through the specs for each of the three chips that was announced today. The R7 1700, all of these are 8 cores and 16 threads. Its base is 3.0 gigahertz, boost is 3.7, and TDP is 65 watts, and that's the $330 chip. The R7 1700X, also 8 cores, 16 threads, 3.4 gigahertz base, 3.8 boost, 95 watt TDP at $400, and the 1800X is a 3.6 gigahertz chip base and boost to 4.0. Again, there's some XFR headroom in there as well that we'll talk about more in the review, which is forthcoming. And that's the 95 watt TDP chip as well at $500. In terms of availability, these are all supposed to be available on March 2nd. So that's when they will actually be available to purchase. Probably our review will go live around the same time or on that day. These will technically be available for pre-order as of today, but as always, we recommend waiting for our review no matter what the product is, game, hardware, software. Wait for the review before pre-ordering just because that's the wise thing to do. So we would recommend waiting even though pre-orders are open. AMD says there should be availability and that product's availability shouldn't be a problem. Of course, it could sell out, but even still, better to just wait on the pre-orders. In terms of other items of note from this presentation, the main one is just that we're looking at a stack of R7 chips that are supposed to compete with Intel's i7. So the 1700 is supposed to compete with the 7700K Kaby Lake chip in terms of direct head-to-head pricing and performance competition. The 1700X at $400 is more of a 6800K competitor, and the 1800X at $500 is more of a competitor to $1,000 Intel chips like the 6900K. Also at the Editor's Day in San Francisco, AMD ran the usual listing of benchmarks, so Cinebench was the main one. And side-by-side performance comparisons with Intel CPUs are similar to what we've seen at previous Editor's Day events like the Sonoma one, but they were kind of reiterated here. These are all, the numbers we're about to show you are all AMD internal, so again, usual grain of salt with manufacturer benchmark. We'll run our own, of course, but to give you an idea of where things stack up from AMD's own testing, we're looking at the R7 1700X placing a CB score of 1537 with the system that they used, and the i7 6900K placing a CB score of 1474. So that's a slight improvement on AMD's side. The R7 1700 versus the i7 7700K is a lot more interesting. That one has the 1700 at 1410 CB marks and the 7700K at 967 CB marks. So quite a big difference there. We don't know the exact configuration of the systems, things like that. So hang around for our benchmarks, but that gives you a baseline idea at least of where AMD projects its performance to land. And there were also some other ad hoc benchmarks, like there was a Sniper Elite demo where we saw some gameplay of Sniper Elite. It's really just a side-by-side to give a general idea of these two processors from AMD and from Intel perform more or less the same. I wouldn't read too far into any hard FPS numbers you see out of that demo because it's not like it was run in a contained scientific environment. There were different objects and geometry on screen for one CPU than the other, and when you have a whole bunch of skybox on screen, it's going to favor the processor with all the skybox on screen. So I'll leave that there. Wait for the game benchmarks again from us, but they had one that showed somewhat comparable performance, and we've seen that before with Battlefield 1 at CES and at a previous AMD Editor's Day event. So that's most of the basics. There's more advanced architecture stuff we'll cover in the review. The main thing here is that this is a departure. Zen is moving away from the bulldozer architecture of having a shared floating point unit per core or per module. It is now a private FP unit private SIMD, private L2 cache for each core, and that should help a lot with floating point performance. Games is critical, and with overall performance and power efficiency. That's the main item of note. There are a few other things that are known. David Cantor's piece for Microprocessor Report details a lot of this, like micro-op cache, which should help reduce x86 instruction overhead. There's also a redesigned L1 cache, and of course, saving for lower power, more efficiency, stuff like that. So, as always, article in the description below for more information on some of the basics of the architecture. Check back probably around the second or on the second for our full review. And otherwise, stack up looks pretty good right now. It's all 8 cores, 16 threads. That's what they're going for the future. Clock speeds look competitive, and the initial synthetic data, even if it's from AMD, does look competitive. So it looks like a good product overall to keep an eye on. GamersNexus.net for more information. Patreon.com/GamersNexus to help us out directly. Subscribe for more. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.
Night falls once more, and soon the shadows shall rise again.
Get back!
Your flowers shall...
Yeah. Love it. Healing boo. Pew, pew, pew. Get back! All right. Gonna be big.